welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a little fun nail art. So there's this game called Among Us. My kids and I love to play it, and my daughter decided to have an Among Us birthday party where we created a live Among Us game in our backyard, and it was so much fun. So she has this group of friends she calls the Legendary Quartet, and they all have their usual colors. So we created a nail on each hand for each of those. And then we created a red one for her brother, my son, and we created a brown one for her other best friend. And those two love to be imposters, so we made them sus. Okay, so I started off by putting a black coat of gel base coat and a flaky hollow taco just to mimic the stars in the space. And I think that's beautiful. Then I put a top coat on that so that I would protect it from my nail art just in case I made mistakes and needed to remove. I have a couple shades of gray. I have a white from Nail Addict LA, and then this California Dreamin' is the lightest blue I had, so I mixed it with white to get the really light blue for the face mask. And then I have some dark gray also. Okay, I'm going to be using my dotting tool, and I'm using the one that I did earlier on the other finger as a guide, and I'm going to put this one on facing the opposite direction because one of the scenes in the game is they kind of are all lined up, and they have one in the middle, and then they have all the rest of them facing outwards from them. So I thought it would be fun to have these creatures, characters, whatever they are, facing opposite directions with each hand. Okay, so basically here what I'm doing is I am creating the basic shape of the Among Us character, which is super simple. It's just kind of got a rounded top and a couple legs. I'm kind of widening it out here because I didn't think it was quite wide enough. You could just do like flat bottom and then draw in the legs. And then I put the backpack or the oxygen tank on there as well. And now I'm going in with a little pointy tool to pop all the bubbles that I created. You're less likely to get bubbles if you don't take your dotting tool off of the wet gel and you just move it around. But I took it off quite a bit. So I got some bubbles, and that's okay. Not a big deal. I cured that for 30 seconds. And now I'm mixing together a little bit of my light gray with some white because I just didn't feel like it was light enough. Now here I'm going to do the shadows. You don't have to do the shadows if you don't want to. I just really, really liked the look of it and felt like it gave it just that little extra detail that just kind of makes it look extra and more like professional nail art, honestly. And I'm probably getting cat hair off because, of course, cat hair always. Okay, so I was looking at a picture when I did this so that I knew exactly where to put my my shadows, and there's some down at the bottom of the oxygen tank backpack or whatever the heck it is, and then there's kind of this curved line under its body and kind of goes along the edge on the side. And I'm just being really gentle and careful here. I'm kind of showing you this part in real time, just so you can see pretty clearly what I'm doing with these details. Anyway, so it's kind of curved down the bottom, and then all of that underneath gets filled in with the shadow. So on the white, I did the gray, and then I looked at all the colors. I pulled up pictures on the internet from Google. Google's awesome. You can see anything you want to see, but I pulled up pictures just to kind of see because the pink one has a purple shadow. And so whichever color I used, I tried to make sure I used the same, at least color families. for my shadows and all of that kind of stuff. Some of the colors were a little difficult for me to find in my stash. I didn't have all of them, so I'm going to show you what I did with the red one here in a minute. The cyan was really hard to find, but okay. So their little face mask is this really pale blue, and I didn't have a pale blue, so I took that California Dreamin', which is a really pale sort of turquoise color, and I mixed it with some white, and that gave me pretty dang close to what I felt was the perfect color. So you take that and you kind of make a little rectangle that just goes over the edge and into the black a little bit, and that kind of gives it some dimension as well. And then you cure that. So I cured the gray, the shadowing, and then I cured I'm doing curing separate. I cure everything. And I had, if you see that little bump of white, I kind of tried to fix a little bit where I went over with the gray by putting some white over it, and because I had cured it first before I noticed it. And you will see at the end, you don't even see that. After I put a top coat on, that disappears 100%. So I took a little bit of white and I created the glare line on the top. And now I'm taking a dark gray and I'm going to do sort of the darker shadow underneath the bottom of the, or at the bottom of the face mask here. Just so, oh good, I'm glad I'm staying in the frame this time. Are you proud of me? I'm doing really well. I'm super proud of myself on this one. I stayed in frame pretty much the whole time. Okay, so now I'm doing a really careful line there at the bottom corner just to give that shadow. All these little details, you don't really have to do them, but they're all just adding to the dimension and just the realness of how it looks in the game. Not that it's real in the game either, but it's as close as I could get it to what you see in the actual game. So I cured that, and now I'm taking my striping brush and my detail brush and I'm going around the edges and I'm cleaning up all those lines and making them super sharp. This is me being a little OCD. Again, it's just your preference and how you want it to look. Do you need it to look perfect? Because I'm kind of I need it to look perfect sort of a person. So here they have sort of like a kind of a crotch line. I don't know how else to put it. Just it makes it kind of look like that's where the bend in their legs is a little bit. So I created that. I went around all the edges that didn't look as smooth as I wanted them. And then I think I'm doing this pretty close to real time as well. It might be sped up just a little bit. There is a little bit of a line in between the backpack and the body, so I added that in. Again, all of these little details just sort of lend to the authenticity of the actual game character. And so I went pretty crazy and I tried to get it as perfect as I could. So with this line around the face mask, and I go all the way around it, I'm putting the gentlest touch from the tip of my striping brush, just a super gentle touch, just to try and get that line as thin as I possibly can. And I probably could have gone even thinner if I was a little bit more careful, but I'm really happy with how that turned out. So I'm going to cure that for 30 seconds. And there it is. That's the white one, which is my daughter. My daughter's always white. That one's done. So my daughter's best friend is always brown and she loves being in the imposter. So I used actual regular nail polish for that because I didn't have gel polishes. So let me show you what I'm doing here. I'm doing white And I'm actually going to create this character in red, but because red and the dark colors like brown don't show up really well on black backgrounds, I put a white background down first and then I painted the color over it, and that makes that color pop a lot more. So I'm going to kind of show you some of this and speed through it a little bit because we went through it all with the white Among Us character. But I wanted to show you something else that I did with color. I didn't have at the time a really good red. I did have one in polish and I could have done that. I wasn't as happy with how the polish looked on I don't know. If you look at the brown one, I used polish on that one and it just kind of looks a little bit more choppy and uneven, I guess. I don't know. I had a much more difficult time getting those colors to look smooth, and I really like how gel makes colors just look so much smoother when you're doing them with nail art. So I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here. Why didn't I cut this part out? I don't know. Oh, this is why. I'm taking my top coat and I'm putting a little bit on my tabletop here at the time is glass. So I can use that easily as a paint palette. So I didn't have enough room on my regular paint palette. So what I did is I took some red pigment, some red dip powder, and I mixed that in with my gel polish because I wanted to use the red. The only other red I had was the regular polish, and I wanted you to be able to see that you can use different mediums. You can use acrylic paint pens, you can use acrylic paints, you can use dip powder mixed with top coat, you can use gel polishes, you can use regular polishes. You're limited by your imagination as far as what mediums you can use. But like I said, when you're using a darker color like a red or a brown, definitely put that over the white, so that that color will show up much better. And obviously I mixed this before I put the white on the nail because all of a sudden that little guy disappeared. Okay, I don't know why I didn't speed this up. I'm sorry for that, but I wanted to show you exactly what I did, and I just kind of sped it up until I got a consistency. Sped it up. I'm sorry. I mixed it up till I got a consistency that I wanted. And then I just take my paint. It's a little thicker than regular gel, but that's okay. It's totally workable. It moves like gel does. I was much happier with this than I was with the regular polish, but I'm not real fond of painting with polish. For me, it dries too fast. I like gels because I have as much time to work with them as I want and need. And polishes, you are on a time frame because it will dry. And I think that's probably why it didn't turn out as smooth and nice as I would have liked it. It might have done better had I done a second coat. It might have smoothed that out a little bit, come to think of it. Anyway, so here I am. I am just painting that red dip powder mixed with top coat right over the white, and you can see how that color just pops off of that black background because I had the white behind it. So I'm gonna hold that upside down, let that level a little bit, and I cured it in the lamp. And so now I'm taking a darker red, and I actually do have a dark red gel polish. So I took that. I think this one is sun-dried tomato from iGel Beauty. So I just used that. And another thing you can do is if you don't have like a darker red, you can mix your red with a little bit of tiny bit of black. Or another thing you can do is you can put a tiny bit of black in with some of your top coat, and that will or base coat even. It doesn't matter as long as it's clear. And that will sort of give you a jelly sheer black. And then you can paint that over for your shadowing. And what that will do is it will kind of take in the red underneath and mix it with your sheer black, and then you'll get that shadow. So right here, I'm going in with a little bit of sticky base coat because it had been quite some time since I had put any kind of a base coat over this, and actually it's going over top coat. So it's any stamping I do is not going to stick to just a regular plain top coat. So I put a little bit of sticky base coat, and I took these letters from a Maniology plate and some pure white, and these are tiny little letters, but they were so perfect. And I scraping that off, and I'm just showing you the one letter, what I'm doing here, just for sake of time. But I picked up the S, and then I'm kind of cleaning off all the letters and the excess stuff on the stamper that I don't want. And then I'm going to take that S and I'm going to stamp that. That's a lovely view. Nice close-up view of my hairy lint roller. Okay, so here I am. I'm putting S over the red Among Us character, and then I'm going to do a U and another S, and you'll see that. And there it is. And I am so happy with how these turned out. I went ahead and top coated afterwards, stuck them on my daughter's beautiful hands, and there they are. So what do you think? Let me know. Do you love it like I do? Did I nail it? Thanks for watching. We will see y'all later. Bye.